Number 3, Jeremiah 29:9, number 3. He says, don't listen to the diviners. Don't encourage them to have dreams. Don't encourage yourself to have dreams, confirming what your flesh wants to have. Here's why. This is huge. How many of you as a child, when your dad did not give you the answer you were looking for, you went to your mother? And if that didn't work, you went to somebody else. Well, my friends, that was a habit that formed as a child that still reigns today in adults. You see, when we hear an answer that we do not like, what do? We go try to find somebody else that's going to tell us what we want to hear. We go to somebody else that's going to confirm what is in our soul instead of what's in our spirit. So we don't like the answer, so I'm going to go ask somebody else to tell me what I want to hear. I'm going to go ask somebody else to confirm what my opinion is. And you reject the opinion because it's not the one you wanted to hear. And no, you no longer like that person anymore. And you instantly judge the person. Well, they just want this and they just want that and they just don't know. They don't know that I'm called. They're standing in my way. That's what the Israelites said. It's the truth. That's what the Israelites said. So he says, do not encourage them to have those dreams, and you need to stop making yourself have those dreams too, because they are lying to you. He's saying, look at where you're at. Look at the confirmation. Look what's been said. You're here because you disobeyed. Now start obeying and quit your whining. Quit looking for people. Quit manipulating people to tell you what you want to hear. How many of you want to know what to do in that situation? This is so much fun. I have so many stories to tell you on this, but we just are not going to take the time to do that. Here you go. How many of you have been in a situation that you know that you were supposed to do something that was the right thing, but you did not have the agreement with your spouse about what that was? Okay? Are you ready for this? I'm going to give you my absolute secret upon secret, weapon upon weapon upon weapon upon weapon upon weapon. How many want to know what it is? And it works every single time. It's beautiful. It's called prayer. It's called prayer. There's been times in my marriage where I knew I heard from God about something that was supposed to happen, and my husband had not yet heard that, or either that or he was looking for a different answer by some choice, and it's happened with him, with me as well. Vice versa, where he has heard something and I'm not with him. He's like, fine. So here's what it was. I'm going to tell you this hilarious story. After we had baby number 3, Hans' second child, after we had Cabe, Hans was done having kids. He was just completely finished. And I was not finished. I still had this thing in me that I wanted to still make some babies, not just practice, but produce. We're back to practice. I think we got it figured out. But anyway, so I was beyond practice. It was time for me to continue to reproduce. But my husband was absolutely no way, never again. I don't want any more kids. I'm finished. It's done. Nuh-uh, I don't want any more. There's no. And I would weep and I would weep and I weep and I would press and I would press and I would press and I would push and I would push and I would push. And guess what he said finally one day? He gave me some amazing advice, and he didn't know he gave me the advice. And this is what he says. He says, well, you better talk to your God about me having more babies because I ain't having any. He prophesied and he didn't know it. But that's what he said. Quit with me. Quit talking to me. Quit pressing me. Quit trying to sell me on this, Dani, and just go talk to your God because I don't want to do this. So I'm like, oh. I had a major poker face. All right. Because I knew that if God had planted that in me, and this is what I did, this is how I prayed, and I want to teach you how to pray strategically. This is what I did. I said, Lord, I believe it is your will for me to have more children, but my husband does not agree. So God, please change his heart, and please take this desire and soften it in me because it's killing me. Let me tell you what happens with desire, my friends. What happens with desire is the enemy can take that and he can push it into anxiety. He can take that desire that's not submitted before the king, and he can turn it into anxiety to want the destiny now. I want it now. I want it now. I want it now. And that's what had happened to me, is that desire now turned to anxiety, which was destroying my innards and causing us to fight. That's not God. So when I said, God, soften the desire in me and change Hans's heart, listen to what happened within 60 days. My desire instantaneously softened, and it was a soft whisper. It was no longer an agitation. It was no longer using manipulation and control to get him to want to have another baby. That left me. 2 months later, first week in December, we're getting ready to go on a trip up to Hans's family. We're sitting down at, I don't know, Tony Roma's having some ribs. And out of the blue, Hans says, you know, honey, I've been thinking. You know, we're making an awful lot of money, and we're only working 20 hours a week. And he says, and I look into the future, and I think, man, we're going to be bored with just those 2 kids. Poker face. Major poker face. I am burying my face in my salad. On my ribs. I am doing everything I can to keep my mouth shut. Filling it with food. What else? I've been thinking that we need to have more kids. I only wanted one more. I only wanted one. He says, I was thinking that we should have 2. Ribs are really good, aren't they, honey? Can I have some more of that honey barbecue sauce, please? Trying to hide my mouth and trying to hide my expression. This is no joke. This is before God Almighty and all you witnesses and my husband who sat before me as I'm devouring ribs. So he says, I think we should have 2. And I said, really? Why? Why do you say that? That is a closing question, by the way. I said, really, why do you say that? He says, well, you know, by the time if we start now, this baby is born, Cable will be 3, and that's too big of a gap. And I don't want this kid to feel like an only child, so I think we should have 2 back to back. We wind up having 2 more sons. 2 more sons. Anyway, I prayed. You see, I knew in my heart I wasn't done. I knew in my heart that to have more was the right thing. But see, look what God did. He first changed my heart and took me to that place where I would submit to him and ask for help and ask him to change my husband's heart. And I also asked him to change my heart because I knew I was in error with all this aggravation and all this anxiety causing quarreling in my marriage. How is that supposed to work to make a baby? It's not. So he said, go pray. I did. I prayed. And God answered and didn't give me 1 more baby, but he gave me 2. My friends, you have to stop manipulating and controlling and stop pushing and pulling. Stop pressing the wrong people. You're going in the wrong direction. Start pushing the one who planted the desire in you. Start pushing on the one that made your destiny. Start pushing on the one who said, I have called you, and before you were born, I knew you in your mother's womb. Go to the one who made you and wrote it all. When you go, hey, you said, hey, you promised. God, you put it in me to get out of debt. There, you got to provide the knowledge and the understanding and the ability to get it done. Hey, you put in me a desire to make money. Now you need to fulfill your promises. You need to direct me on how I'm supposed to do it.